Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and now MScribe.
Now we can officially add it to the list, right?
Finally, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Bitoshi's latest announcement. Phase 2 is finally out.
Yeah, most likely this is going to be posted today, right? Day of.
Day of, yeah.
Yeah, so we're all here in recognition of finally the Phase 2 has come, right? It took a couple of days longer than anticipated, but I think everybody kind of understood what was coming. We talked about it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
This is the next logical step.
Yeah.
Right? We all have these bitmaps. We all agree to this consensus understanding of what a bitmap represents, right? It's an architecture framework for, I guess, spatial allocation, geospatial allocation within this Bitcoin metaverse. So how are we actually going to bring that to reality? We need to invent the mechanism, I guess, or lay forth, like, how are you going to parcel out all these different individual ownership units, right? AKA parcels.
Yeah, and if you don't know anything about us, we've been in the metaverse for the last 4 years. And so we know a little bit about what works and what doesn't work.
Correct.
And what Bitmap brought is an open source way for everybody to contribute building out the metaverse that happens to be on Bitcoin.
Yeah, to do that and again to create this non-arbitrary process, I guess, of...
Did you know that we're more than just a YouTube channel? We also built MetaZone, the first app store for the metaverse. Buy, sell, and explore a new class of digital assets like our flagship game Rovi.ai. Support us by collecting your digital assets through MetaZone at metazone.io. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated. All right, back to the video.
Laying forth the bandwidth,
right?
The space, the actual one of the main components of what makes up a 3D spatial environment, right?
Yeah.
What are the parameters and the bounds of that? So that is subjective, but at least the way to allocate ownership and onboard a community, that is what Bitmap is for. Mm-hmm. That's the whole purpose of the standard. And typically what we've experienced in our 4 years is not that.
Right.
Right? It is usually like some project founder, organization, whatever, comes up with an idea, a concept for a virtual world. Mm-hmm. And like, here's, the limit is 50,000 or whatever. There's only 50,000 of these units are going to be distributed.
Yeah.
Some of them are bigger than others, very much an arbitrary process, right? So
yeah.
Right now we're witnessing not that. Something completely unique and new, right?
Right. So let's take a look at the onboarding paths to getting into the ecosystem, right? So we've had a block out. So basically when we first did our Bitmap video, it was June 13th.
Yeah. And
at the time had roughly 300 inscriptions. Mm-hmm. As soon as we made our video, it sort of exploded, right?
Yeah.
It was like a few thousand that day, and then ended up being like 50,000 the next day, and 17 days later had a block out. And so essentially 800,000 bitmaps were inscribed.
Yeah.
And so so now that they're all inscribed, so like what's next? So Bitoshi today just announced the phase 2, which is a parcel standard.
Yeah.
And we've been incorporating that standard, working with Blockamoto, and that standard is very simple. It's just transaction ID.blocknumber.bitmap. Mm-hmm. And so this simple standard allows for the most diverse outcomes possible, right? So anybody can take the standard and eventually build a 3D world on top of the standard and, basically make anything that they want. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to see the most stickiness. But the way to do that are a couple of platforms. So let's take a look. So Bitoshi came out with bitmap.land, and so this is the new interface. And so you can kind of zoom in and zoom out, and you can type in your block here. Once you hit go, you'll see this list of blocks, and then from here, hit select, and you can kind of select the different ones. And so here I selected 3, and when you click on this, it'll open up a new page. It'll say looks ordinal. And this is how you get onboarded to the parcel standard, if you will. So here are the 3 that I've selected, and here's the block that I'm building on. And so this is my block. Only the people that own the block can inscribe the parcels. Mm-hmm. And so that's the standard for now.
Yeah. And the next phase is important in like unlocking the ability for non-owners to have access to inscribing parcels, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you estimate fees and submit transaction, you'll be able to own these parcels from your district. So the main question is, well, why would I want to inscribe my own parcels into from my own district? Mm-hmm. I was like, well, you don't need to, right? But in case you find some sort of value in a particular transaction, maybe you hold the first transaction with the very first ordinal, right? Perhaps that's an interesting one to inscribe and then potentially sell on in an open market, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we suspect people are going to come up with different ways to attribute value to some of these transactions.
Yeah, 100%. What those different value attribution mechanisms end up being, that is kind of like the whole point, right? Anybody can kind of like
exactly
push forward a proposal, a new idea. Doesn't necessarily have to be purely like 3D, immersive experience driven. I mean, most likely that is what, end game value will kind of come from. But as we know, building 3D environments is very technically challenging, very expensive. Not everybody can do that. Like, that's the thing about Bitmap. This isn't like an ecosystem for JPEG artists to kind of like, come in and, deploy their creativity within. This is typically you're going to need 3D modelers. You're going to need more developers bringing in code. Like, this is a lot. This is a challenging space, right? So it's going to take a while before we get to that stage where, that's like a ubiquitous value offering of all these bitmaps.
Yeah, the most important thing is to onboard, a ton of people into the platform, into this ecosystem.
Right, but I think along the way, there's going to be different, interpretations, much more like early stage of, value markets that emerge from this space. And that is what it is we're focused on as Mscribe, our platform, right? We want to support as many different vectors of creation as possible through our platform. So we're starting basically at the same stage. It's phase 0 where, okay, we got to get the parcel inscription standard adopted, which we have done. We have accepted the Blockimoto parcel inscription standard, and it is now part of our platform, right?
Yeah, so let's take a look. So this is Mscribe. Just go to mscribe.io, and you'll be treated with the latest block here. And so as you can see, if you click on, let me zoom into the properties here. You have the transaction count, 3,100 in this particular block. 10,000 Bitcoin was transacted collectively here.
Yeah.
And then you have the V bytes. And so once you click on parcel, you'll see something interesting. So you can kind of click and drag, and you'll see that because I can't submit and pay invoice here, that means that this is not my district.
Yeah.
Right? So what I have to do is go to my inscriptions, and then you'll see all my inscriptions here. And let's click on the first one. So I've been testing out the system. That's why you see some parcel inscriptions here. But let's click on this one. And so this is my district. And once it loads, you'll be able to kind of click and drag, and these parcels will show up on this list.
Okay. Yeah.
So so this is another thing that's cool is if you click W, you kind of tilt it back. You hit number 2, it will show the sizes in terms of height.
Yeah.
So basically, if this transaction, like for example, if I zoom in, it shows 4 Bitcoin. Well, that 4 Bitcoin is relative to the size of everybody else.
Correct.
Right. So if I find the tallest one here, maybe this one, you'll see that this was 31 Bitcoin. So it's the tallest one.
Yeah, I think this is an important differentiator between our platform and I guess others in the space is, we're trying to create the most optimal user experience and, incorporate what it is the community consensus is as far as like what is the existing value attributions of now, right? So right now, the confirmation of the actual parcels within the bitmap itself is very valuable. Like, what is the shape of it? The size of the parcels in context of their transaction volume and stuff that. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's information that isn't being really relayed to you on the other platforms.
Yeah,
right?
That's correct.
I mean, it's just like, here's a bunch of squares that really don't have any differentiation between them, right? So how are you to make a decision, which of these parcels do I want to claim as my own, right?
That's right.
You don't know. If you have the anticipation to build something of substance within these virtual environments, I want a space that's, has a higher transaction volume, right?
Yeah, that tells you some information, right?
Yeah.
And if you click number 3, this is what gets crazy. This shows you the virtual bytes in terms of relative size.
So immediately, I mean, I don't know. This is pure speculation. But I would imagine, having these skyscraper parcels might have some serious value in the future. We don't know yet. It's going to be up to the developer, right? How do I leverage this bit of information, right? The V bytes.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, procedurally generate something of value for the people who own these parcels. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, take a look. So I'm clicking on some of these random tall ones, and we're looking at 45,000 virtual bytes. So there could be an image embedded here. I mean, there could be something of substance, something embedded within the transaction here. So so somebody could be inscribing an image in this transaction. It's like you don't really know. So we're going to be able to build this interface, and it'll potentially tell you exactly what's being inscribed here.
Yeah, and that we want to expand on this concept too. Is like we see what's going on in the ordinal space with rare sats and sattributes and stuff like that. The market is really starting to really appreciate these, like I said, all these historical context pieces of the Bitcoin block data as part of like their asset ownership experience, right? We want to do the same thing for Bitmap. These blocks have a lot of historical context embedded within them, right? So
remember
all
that pizza transaction, 10,000 Bitcoin? Exactly. Somebody owns that transaction.
Yeah, you could link all, like any like popular ordinals PFP project or whatever to some of these blocks. Like when was one of these transactions within this block was probably when, the first Bitcoin frog was purchased or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or when the inscription was deployed. Like these are things that people are going to identify as valuable, right? And they're going to want to have ownership of that.
Right.
And developers could also leverage that and introduce, like we said, these new value attributions to this. So that's what we want to focus on as a platform, is just to incorporate as much of this as possible. We're not going to be able to do that unless we have like consistent feedback from the community. So we need you guys in the Discord constantly basically telling us what it is you guys think is valuable, right? Because if we don't know what the consensus is, you guys aren't having these conversations, then we can't build it into the platform.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. And so just to kind of finish off here, if you click on parcels, everything in green that I've selected has been in a list. And so I can kind of remove everything here and select everything again, and you kind of see it populate.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you submit and pay invoice, you have the list here. You pick your speed that you want, right? Custom, you kind of increase or decrease, whatever. Submit and pay invoice, so pull up Unisat or Xverse, and you'll be able to pay.
Okay. So pretty standard, inscription, purchasing process. It's very much, it's familiar. We did it for that reason, right? We built it, we designed it exactly like this because we don't want anybody to have to like relearn how to, relearn the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they say? Whatever.
Yeah,
reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to do that, dude. We want everyone to be as comfortable as possible when they're interacting with Mscribe, right? It should feel like you're buying a BRC20 token or any other standard ordinal inscription, right?
Yeah, and so let's talk about all the other platforms. We got Magic Eden here, and so they're not going to have an interface for a lot of this stuff. And so, but
not yet,
right?
Potentially, yeah. I'm predicting at some point, like all of these platforms will.
Yeah, because they have a way to inscribe, and so it's it's
simply just acknowledging the Blockimoto inscription standard, right?
Correct.
And then implementing that into your platform, just another section of it, and you could do that.
Yeah. So we have Magic Eden. Let's take a look at Ordinal's wallet. Same thing. What they've done is they updated the images, and some of them are broken here for some reason. But what they did was they ended up using Bitfeed.live. They took from the back end, they took an image of it, and then they just tied that image, that JPEG file, to the actual inscription. So pretty cool interface. But these are just images.
Pink.
Oh, now they're pink.
Right on, dude.
So it kind of fits with their theme.
Well, OrdSwaps are pink too, so I think everybody's sourcing OrdSwap. This is like evident. OrdSwap was the first one to kind of come out with these images.
Yeah. So let's go to OrdSwap.
And I think all the other platforms have just kind of like taking on this API or whatever.
Yeah, they're pulling this data that they've already kind of collected.
Yeah. I like OrdSwap's move here though. This is a Chad move. It's like, you guys are all going to use our images and we're going to make them all pink. So at least we get our branding out there. It is brilliant. Yeah. It's like, don't forget where all these are coming from.
Yeah. That's brilliant, dude.
Yeah, it is good. They might as well just put a watermark on every single one.
Yeah.
Just put the logo on all these bitmaps. Why not, dude? While you're at it.
Jack is smart, dude. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So we have OrdSwap, and I think that's it. And of course, Unisat.
Unisat just incorporated ordinals into their marketplace. So without a doubt, at some point, I think the bulk of the inscription the bitmap inscriptions probably came from Unisat, just because of the already network effect that they've established because of BRC20s and such. But so I think they see them. I'm pretty sure they saw that data. It's like, damn, dude, a lot of people inscribe these bitmap things, so we should probably support it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm expecting this is going to become a very hot sector, right? And there's a lot of people asking, like, how much bigger can Bitmap get? The whole metaverse on Bitcoin narrative is just too damn strong.
Yeah.
It's too big.
Yeah.
People are fading the metaverse just because, the mainstream zeitgeist sentiment tells you to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you actually look into, like, why are the biggest companies on the planet focusing their resources on this development? Apple, Meta, NVIDIA, pretty soon everybody, Google, everyone is going to be building components of this metaverse layer, right? So that's going to be obviously a big focus for Web3 in the future too. This whole, how do we make the metaverse come to reality?
Yeah.
Right? So every platform is going to have a part to play in this.
Yeah, and there's nothing bigger than the metaverse on Bitcoin, right? There's 800,000 districts, now potentially millions of parcels being owned by different people.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to bring on developers. They're going to be interested.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see, the metaverse actually built out from an open source perspective.
Correct. Yeah, I totally believe in that too, dude. So yeah, we're here. We're going to keep covering this space on our channel, obviously, but we're going to keep you guys informed and updated every single time we, make an improvement to the platform.
Yeah. And this is really why we haven't posted a video. It's like we were waiting for this announcement.
It's only been like 3 days, but yeah.
Yeah. It felt long though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's long for us. Usually we have a video ready to go every single day.
Yeah.
Maybe we take 1 day break or something like that, but never 3. But yeah, we've been waiting for the launching and for the parceling to begin and all that stuff, so we can have, a nice smooth beginnings to all this,
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's it for us. Make sure you join our Discord on Mscribe. If you guys end up using the platform, let us know if you have any questions there. Also, follow us on Twitter. There's 4 of them now. All right, we got the Block Runner, we got MetaZone.io, we got Rovi AI, and finally at Mscribe.io.
That's it.
That's it.
You got it, dude. You nailed it. That's gonna be a tough one. Every single video we make, you're gonna have to.
We got to come up with a better way to
like sprinkle them in throughout the video or something.
Yeah, something like that.
4 separate ads, dude, or what do you call them? Bumpers. Or it's
like,
hey, don't forget, we got Mscribe over there.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna get wild.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.